Welcome everybody for joining on this Animalia Asana session, specifically in dedication to birds today. This seemed particularly fitting given the time of year, in many countries anyway, with festive celebrations involving often the consumption of turkeys especially, but also other bird animals, especially so-called game animals, and all the mass factory farming that lays behind all of that. So this session is basically in honour to them, and hopefully you will enjoy this little foray across various bird species. It's going to be a fairly restorative session, but with various points of strength thrown in as well. Minimal flow, so we'll be going posture by posture, and hopefully by the end of it you will feel calmer, restored and aligned, and with a sense that you've gestured in honour of birds. So to begin with, I invite you to become cross-legged, and if this isn't comfortable for you, then feel free to find a different comfortable sitting position. All the way through, you know your body best, so do listen to what your body is telling you, no need to force anything. And close your eyes. Try not to, at least in the beginning, look up and see what I'm doing. Try just to listen to the instructions. That will help you to arrive more deeply into the space and to switch off the mind. So you're sitting here closing the eyes. If comfortable for you, do bend forward slightly. See if your forearms will reach the floor. If not, you can bend forward slightly and have them resting on your legs, or if you're very keen and have the immediate props around you, you could build cushions to bring the floor nearer to you, as it were. And let your head hang. Begin just by feeling the areas of your own animal body that are in contact with the floor or the mat. And let your fingers relax. Ensure your mouth isn't clenching, that there's a gentle gap between the teeth. As you begin to lengthen your breath. So, staying there. Some of you may not recognize some of the postures that we're going to be visiting today, even if you're quite experienced in yoga. That is because some of the animal named postures aren't very commonly practiced, and I've dug quite deep in the resources that exist out there to uncover some of them. But as the saying goes, within yoga, there are supposedly as many animal postures as there are animal species in the universe. Hence, an infinite number, really. So let that inspire you sometimes with playing with some of the postures and creating your own version of them as well. And before we continue, just see which bird comes to mind, first of all, with the invitation to think of a bird. Which bird is coming to mind for you? And just visualize that bird for a moment. Notice some detail. Three more deep breaths. Notice if you think 3 breaths have gone already, that's fine. Maybe try to lengthen your breath a little more. And on the next exhale, let that visualization gently dissolve. Maybe the bird is flying away. Fantastic. Gently lifting the upper body upright. And if desired, feel free to change the way that your legs are crossed. Not essential. And opening the eyes gently if you've not already. We're going to stretch the arms out to the side and then bring one arm up on top. And if possible, curling them around each other. If not, then you can keep them as far as they will go around each other. Try to make it purposeful with a definitive hand position, be that stretching the fingers out or fists even, or you can hold on to your shoulders. If wrapping all the way around, the idea with this arm posture is isometric force between the different body muscles. So we're pushing the arms against each other. Remember to breathe as you're doing this. Notice it helps if you are still engaging your core here, core stability. And notice if your arms are lowering or if they're more lifted. And I invite you to try the other way round now. Mine were lowered, so I've now lifted them a little bit. Notice where in the arms and shoulders are you feeling this? Maybe somewhere else as well. One more inhale. And then gently unfolding and stretching the arms back out. So again, reminder, there should be no pain. It should be a nice, albeit intense feeling. This is the arms of Garudasana, eagle pose. And you can take the other arm on top now, in whichever version you are practicing today. If you feel unsure what to do when you're in each posture, especially if you're new to yoga, don't worry, that's quite normal. Just focus on the breath. Or focus on the animal, if you are familiar with the species that we are practicing. You can imagine the sheer determination of the eagle in there. In their flight, in their search for prey, perhaps as uncomfortable as the predator-prey relationship may be for some of us. What can we transpose that onto into our life? Moving the arms in the different direction, up or down, depending on what they were. Two more long, deep breaths. On your second exhale, just gently releasing, stretching the arms out as if they were eagle wings, or relaxing and letting them rest to the side. We're now going to transition onto all fours, a kind of symbolic animal posture, if you like, non-human animal posture, even though, of course, not all animals have 4 legs. So from here, just get used to being in this position for a while, even if you're a seasoned practitioner. Every day is different, and it's easy to start taking things for granted. Or even if you're seasoned in other physical activity. Notice what your belly is doing. Try to engage the core, flat back, spreading the fingers wide, pushing into the mat. Nice stable position. And we're going to stretch the left leg back. You can keep your toes on the floor if that's what is available to you. If more is available, you can lift the left foot off the floor, raising the whole leg, contracting all of the legs of the leg muscle. Then begin to transition your weight over into the left hand and stretching. If it's available, you can keep in a 3-leg position if you like. But if it's available, you can stretch the opposite arm forward, the right arm forward. Keep engaging your core. Keep breathing. One more inhale. And then calming back down to neutral, all fours. That is sunbird posture. And to the other side. Two more inhales. Good. You can bring your knees together and rest back onto your heels a moment. And then we're going to rest on the palms of our hands, but with the fingers facing towards the body. The idea is to enjoy a forearm stretch. Find a level that is sustainable for you. If it's too intense, you can bring them closer to the body. If it's too accessible, too easy, then you can move the arms further away, the hands further away from the body. But we'll stay here for a good few breaths, so pick a sustainable level. This is warming up for the arms of the peacock pose, which we'll visit later on. A variant thereof, anyway. Again, just returning to your breath. You could very much close your eyes here. And visualize the stunning peacocks the national animal of India, the birthplace of yoga. And closely related to turkeys, chickens, and pheasants, other game animals that are very overexploited and egregiously harmed, especially at this time of year. Staying there a little bit longer. The practice of yoga doesn't officially actually have a turkey pose, and this may be explained by turkeys being native to North America, as I understand. But the chickens are native, originate from the red jungle fowl in Asia, so the chicken ancestor is from Asia. 2 more breaths. On your next inhale, very gently moving out of that, gently being the word of emphasis, as that's quite strong for many people on the wrists and in the forearms, so just be gentle with them. You may like to turn the hands the other way and just stretch them the other way a little bit. We are going to transition into the one and only little flow we're doing. Excuse me, as my head will soon vanish out of shot briefly, but it's not very important, and I'll soon come back. And it's where I am permitting the one and only non-bird posture, because it connects with this lovely swan dive mini flow. So beginning with entering into boar pose, Varahasana. So coming onto the balls of your feet and seeing if you can find a balance here, engaging the core, seeing if you can find a bit of lift. You may find that your bottom's very much resting heavily on the heels of your feet. See if you can find any lift here. And we're going to place the palms of the hands together, if that is available. If not, you can practice with balancing here with your hands on the floor. And we're going to take them over the head, all the while pressing together. And on an exhale, taking them out front. And then on an inhale, stand up, arms out front. And then we're going to separate the arms, coming down in a swan dive before joining up in the front again. Exhaling as the hands land behind you. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale up. Exhale, swan dive down. Exhale, arms forward. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, swan dive down. Carrying on for a few rounds, pausing if you need to practice. Don't worry if you lose a balance at one point, you just refind stability. And do one final round. And we'll all meet in standing position. I lie, one more non-bird, non-animal posture, Tadasana, mountain pose, but a home of many animals and birds, no doubt. Feet under the hips, still engaging the core, gentle bend, engaging the buttocks, rolling the shoulders and shoulder blades back, nice open position. Closing the eyes, noticing your breath, noticing how your body, your animal body is feeling. Gently opening the eyes. We are going to come into Benvasana. And this is a simple balance. Simple, I shouldn't take that for granted that it's simple. But there's not too much going on. We're bending one leg. Maybe that is where we'll stay and work with balance here. Engaging the core, if possible, we'll bend over slightly. And taking the arms out to the side. Keeping the eyes fixed on one point can help with balance. Benvasana is named after the Bennu bird, a mythological bird, I think. Your next inhale coming up. Beware as we transition to other sides, you may have a different experience on the other side. It's completely normal and fine. So, Bennu bird once again, lifting the other leg bent as we engage the core and bend forward, arms out to the side. Continue with the breath. Notice if you're clenching your teeth, try to relax that. And on your next inhale, coming up. Next, we're going into sparrow pose. Again, you may like to invite the kind of playfulness of a sparrow, the beloved sparrow, fluttering about, and try to imbibe a sense of that quality, even though we're going to be static, because there's still a lot of movement inside our bodies to generate this staticness. So this is a balance on both feet, so feet under the hips, rolling the shoulders back. If you're able to, clasping the hands together. If not, you can hold on to the arms. And we're going to fold forward on an exhale, engaging the core, and the arms are going to come gently away from the body as far as it's comfortable. The heels can just be slightly off the floor, or you can experiment with more. I invite you to have another experiment with that. Again, maybe keeping the little sparrow in your mind and heart as you go in. Three more breaths. Remembering how birds are thought to be liminal creatures. They're kind of said to be in between two worlds, heavenly realm and the earthly realm, mythologically speaking. What insights may this give them? Should we be open to learning from them? And I love how with birds, flight is so overtly an ability that they have that humans do not have, at least not with their bodies. And of course, that translates into many other species as well. There's so many abilities that other species have that humans do not have. We have our own, but sometimes it's easy to forget, as many do. I'm sure you don't know, listening, that other species have abilities that we do not. Okay, well done for reaching this point. We're going to be transitioning back onto the floor again. We just briefly said hello to all standing. I hope you can feel how, despite this being quite deep and restorative, we're still getting quite a lot of strength into this session. So we're going to transition back onto the floor through revisiting boar and swan dive again. So starting with the arms up high, and on the exhale, folding forward. Just doing it once more. And placing the hands in front of you. Moving into the top third of the mat, I would say. You can rejiggle in a moment if you need to. We are going to experiment with Hamsasana next, which is swan pose. Those of you experienced in yoga or other forms of physical activity may recognize it as the plank. Indeed, it's very similar, but the hands are faced the other way around. So the fingers are towards the body. And again, if this is quite intense for you, you may just want to stay here or bring them close to the body if need be. But if you're comfortable, you can begin experimenting with placing one leg back. Again, you may want to stay here and take turns with the legs, or you may be comfortable lifting both. Engaging the core. Staying there. Coming down for a pause if you need to, before going up again for a few more breaths. Making your body really long and straight, like a swan's neck when he or she is noticing something and standing very upright with the neck. Coming out if you've not already. And one more posture invitation with this hand position of the fingers facing forward. Notice how it is for us. If you feel you've reached a point where you don't wish to do that anymore, then feel free to go to plank. You can still call it swan pose. I won't tell anyone. As we've said, it's all quite fluid, these names, to some extent. So peacock pose, I did mention we were coming back to a fuller variant of this. You can again stick with an earlier variant. So knees are coming out to the edges of the mat, feet are together, resting on the hips. And fingers facing toward the body, coming close together so they're touching and they're on the floor between the knees. You may want to stay here. Or you can begin investigating bringing the hips up away from the feet a little bit and bending the arms. Maybe you stay here. See if you can reach the floor with your head. You may want to stay here. You may want to begin experimenting with one leg out and then the other. You may wish to lift the head. And you can go further than that, but we're going to stop with that today. But it is a very difficult posture, even to that extent, and steps preceding that fullest extent we visited today. So there's plentiful. If you're a well-seasoned practitioner and you know the further expressions, feel free, by all means, go ahead. Otherwise, we'll pause there today. The majesticness of the peacock. And its close relatives, the turkey and the chicken. Not so often thought of in the same light. Okay, we are going to calm down onto our bottoms now. See if you can move the calves out the way slightly and just create a space for your bottom, if that's available. Don't worry if it's not, because you're going to be bringing one foot out. If this isn't comfortable at all, then feel free to have it out in front, bent or straight, that is all fine. So we're working towards a variation of heron pose, Asana. So taking hold of the big toe with the 2 forefingers, trying to get a good solid posture before anything else. So engage the core, sitting tall. We're going to begin to try and experiment taking the foot off the floor. Maybe you stay here, working with that balance as well as the other feelings going on in your body. But you can begin to straighten the leg and begin to welcome it a bit nearer to the body. Try not to round, so we're wanting to pull up tall, engage the core. Don't force it too hard. I, for one, have to be very careful with this right leg at the moment. Maybe we can think of the outstretched leg as the large beak of the heron. One more inhale. And then gently begin to bend that leg again. Changing sides, however you wish to. You may wish to do that through both legs being bent back again or another way. And we're going to change sides. So this time the fingers of your other arm are wrapping around the big toe of your other leg. You're getting a strong seated position before trying to take off at all. And when you're ready, finding the point you wish to work with today. And breathing. One more inhale. And gently bending again. Wonderful. We're going to come down onto our backs now. And just pause here a moment. Before continuing, we're just going to do a little breathing exercise. It is called crow beaks breath. And we're basically inhaling through the nose and exhaling with pursed lips. So it's all the way to completion. This just helps us to become particularly mindful of our breath by having the added sound, and it encourages us to lengthen the exhale as well as we enter into a more relaxing stage of the practice. Closing the eyes. Try not to rush it. We'll do it 3 more times and see if you can go slower and make it last longer, the exhale. You do the last 2 on your own so you don't have my sound effects. And then just gently open your eyes. You don't need to open them too much. Let your breathing return to normal. Lifting your right foot and placing it on your left knee and letting the right knee fold out to the side, keeping this right foot flexed to help protect the knee, and welcoming both legs towards the chest. This may be as far as you go. You maybe want to hold on to the left thigh to support this, or you maybe have to hold on behind the left knee. And you're just sticking with a sustainable level of welcoming the legs towards the chest. You may find you're able to welcome the right leg out to the side a little bit more with your right elbow. This is lying pigeon pose, Supta Kapottasana. Five breaths here. A reminder that pigeons are actually a dove. Those societal perceptions treat them quite differently. Once you've done your 5 breaths or there around, changing legs. No hurry to get to the position. Whatever your version of the position is. 5 more breaths. No hurry, staying with your breaths in the posture. And when you've completed your breaths, gently coming out of that posture carefully, slowly, and stretching your legs out onto the mat. And finishing with eagle arms once more. See how different it feels from a laying position. Again, you can be hugging yourself if eagle arms, traditional eagle arms is not fully available to you. Changing side if you've not already. And then letting your arms rest by the side. Staying there in Shavasana, corpse pose. Closing the eyes. And just letting the breath deepen, feeling your body give way into the support of the floor. Within the Upanishads, a yogic text of inspiration, and there is often a story of a bird, an infinite bird, and an finite bird self. So two versions of the self. The finite bird is the doer, and the infinite bird is the observer. And then this often gets translated into the imagery of one bird sitting in a treetop observing. So you've got your doing self, even though you're not doing very much right now, lying on the floor, feeling the support of the floor. And then imagine this other bird, this infinite version of yourself in bird form on a treetop, looking down on you. And imagine you're that bird looking down on you, looking down on your finite self. Hopefully that will help to take you out of yourself a little bit, away from the attachment of thoughts, loosen their grip a little bit, and allow you to relax and be present. As you breathe, invite back in that bird you visualized at the beginning. Maybe it's that bird who was up in the treetop for you. Your new companion in resting. And I invite you to stay here as long as your schedule allows. And thank you very much for joining me.